Hello, it is Jack Gill and welcome to Anfield Agenda. We have just had the news that KABAK will be making his debut this afternoon against Leicester at the King Power. Excellent news to know that actually, finally, Liverpool will be starting a centre-back, and it's the Turkish man, the 20-year-old, signed on loan from Schalke on deadline day, of course. It's great news to know that obviously we'll be playing him at the back. In my opinion, he'll be alongside Henderson. I think it's the best thing to do because of Henderson's leadership to guide him through the game. His first game, obviously, in the Premier League, English football. We've been told as well, there's loads of rumours surrounding the fitness of Thiago. We've been told by Ian Doyle, that he was on the team, but there are rumours that Thiago will be on the bench. There's not long before the team news. I'll go through that with you. We know that, of course, Leicester will be without James Justin this afternoon. He did his ACL in midweek against Brighton. So that's a big miss for Leicester. He'd been doing so well for them. Jamie Vardy, of course, has been injured in recent weeks, but it's expected that he'll return to Leicester's starting lineup this afternoon. Keep your comments coming in. I'll try to read out as many as possible. I'm here for 40 minutes. Craig will be live with obviously the live watch along at 12:15. But I'm here until 12:10, so I'll answer all your questions. And let me just check out the teams. It's past. Keep them comments rolling in. Let me know what you think the score will be. So here is the Liverpool team today. It is in goal. Alisson made a couple of mistakes against Man City, of course. We need a big performance from him today. The back four is Trent, Henderson, KABAK and Robertson. In midfield, Milner, Gini and Jones. And then the front three is Sadio Mane, Mo Salah and Bobby Firmino. On the bench today, we have Adrian, Thiago, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Reece Williams, Leighton Clarkson, Xherdan Shaqiri, Nat Phillips, Tsimikas and Nico Williams. So a strong side from us. Obviously, we knew going into the game we would be without Fabinho. Thiago's fitness was questioned. I assume he's on the bench because he's not 100% fit. We've got that the Leipzig game ahead on Tuesday as well, of course. So I expect Klopp is managing his fitness. The midfield three is questionable for me, but you know, Curtis Jones was fantastic against Man City, and I'm hoping for more of the same from him again today. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about the midfield. There's probably going to be a big meltdown about the midfield. I do think that's our weak point this afternoon. Let me find the Leicester lineup for you. So yeah, carry on with your comments. Phillips, I don't know. I think Phillips was on the bench. I'll have a look in a moment. The Leicester team is Schmeichel in goal, Soyuncu, Evans and Marty, Ricardo Pereira, Albrighton and Didi, Tielemans, Maddison, Barnes and Vardy. So that is how Leicester start this afternoon. They go through with Vardy through the middle. It looks like they're going with a back five as well. That's how they're going to try and cope with our front three this afternoon. Let me look into your comments. Rufus Gaming says, when does it kick off? It's a 12:30 kickoff over on BT Sport. Henderson is in defence. Yeah, that is correct. He is alongside KABAK this afternoon. For people who don't know what to expect from Ozan KABAK, you know, he's very good in the air. He's a player who's very good positionally, which will probably work well with our high line. And you know, he's a very young lad. He looks very much willing to perform in the Liverpool shirt, and he's desperate for a permanent move, which is why I think this deal was perfect in January, because you know it's a short-term loan move, gets him to the end of the season, and gives him a chance to fight for a permanent move to Liverpool. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he can slot into that defence and produce a fantastic performance today. You know, Jamie Vardy is one of the best number nines in the Premier League, so he's going to have a difficult task on his Premier League debut. But I am really, really excited to see KABAK. Let me know what you think about that too. People asking if Fofana is injured. I'm not sure. Is Davis injured or something? I really don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? He wasn't in the squad against Manchester City. He's not in the squad today. Reece Williams and Nat Phillips are both in the squad ahead of him. So it's really interesting that, you know, a £2 million signing, not made the bench in the last two Premier League games. Not sure what that means. Let me know what you think. Reece Wyman says, I was expecting Phillips and KABAK. I think there's two reasons for this. Why no Phillips? I think firstly, I think leadership. Ozan Kabak is making his Premier League debut. First game in English football, 20 years old, having a partner alongside him in Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson can be the leader at the back and constantly tell him what to do and help him through his first 90 minutes in Premier League football. Second reason, Nat Phillips is as slow as me, and he's going to have to deal with Jamie Vardy this afternoon. So I think that's why also we're not seeing Nat Phillips this afternoon. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game. And I'm really intrigued to see how that centre-back pairing of Jordan Henderson and Ozan Kabak do, because, I think Jordan Henderson has been really good the last couple of games at centre-back. I know Liverpool haven't been very good, but I think Jordan Henderson has done well at centre-back, and I'm looking forward to see that. So who's in the middle of the pitch, mate? In centre midfield, we've got the midfield three of Gini, Curtis Jones and James Milner. I think that's our weak point today. Where's the creativity going to come from in that midfield? I think Curtis Jones was outstanding against Man City, but he's a young lad. We can't put all our expectations on him. Creativity-wise from midfield, I expect Gini Wijnaldum to have maybe a role a bit further forwards. It's going to be interesting. I don't know whether he'll be in the sixth, Gini, or whether he'll play in a more advanced role. It's going to be interesting to see. So, I think it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be a very, very tough fixture. We're against Leicester, who are a top side. Really trying to break it into that traditional top six, aren't they? They finished in the top six last season, and they've done really well this season. They've started really, really strongly and made a couple of good additions in the summer. So it's going to be a tough game. Liverpool are going through a poor in a form, and let's hope that we can end it today. More comments coming in. Yep, confirmation there from Wesley Conde that Fafana is injured, and so is Castagna. Hashin says Milner offers the leadership that Henderson normally offers when he's in the midfield. I completely agree. I think that's why Milner is so often in the midfield when we're seeing Henderson at the back. And, I think probably the idea today would have been moving Henderson forward into midfield and having Fabinho start at the back alongside Kabak. But, of course, Fabinho has picked up that muscle injury and is unavailable for today's game. So, that is why I think Milner starts. I think it's also because of Thiago's fitness. We expect him not to be 100% fit, but he is available and on the bench this afternoon. Awesome Gamer says this is a must-win game for us. I completely agree. So important for us this afternoon. We need to win this. I think that we're out of the title race now, but we're in the race for the top four still. We still need to work hard to get that top four, because it is a real difficult season this year, and there are so many teams in that race for top four. So we're going to have to keep pushing. Connor's just put the team up next to me there. So if you're not sure on the team, it's next to me right now. Reece Wyman says, I love Milner, but he slows us down. I disagree, mate. I think Milner is one of the quickest, not quickest, but one of the fittest players in the team. And, sometimes, yes, he does slow us down. I think there was a game a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember who we were playing, but he was very slow. He played 3 games in a week. He's 35 years old. And I think he picked up a little knock earlier on in the game as well. But, I think against West Ham in that first half, he was outstanding, and he was the one player that was actually making the runs in behind. And I said at the time, he's like a robot. He's 35 years old, and he was showing more energy than any other player on the pitch. So, it's an interesting one. But yeah, there's going to be split opinions on Milner starting today. But I think, Klopp's on with his side. We've got a few injury problems. He didn't have much to choose from at the back or in midfield. So I actually think he probably had more options in midfield today. At the back today than in midfield. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Jordan LFC 165 asked me for my score predictions. I'm going to go with 2-1 for Liverpool. I think, 2-1 to Liverpool. I think, we're going to end our little blip and poor run of form. I think Jamie Vardy will open the scoring for Leicester. But then I think goals from Salah and Mane will do it for 2 Curtis Jones assists. I'm glad Curtis Jones has got a start today. I think he earned it after his performance against Man City. I criticised Klopp after the game for taking Jones off when he did. I thought it was a poor substitution. Jones was the best player in the Liverpool shirt for the first hour, and then he was taken off too early, in my opinion. But yeah, I think it's a good Curtis Jones has done really, really well this season. He's been thrown in the deep end a bit. He's probably had more game time than anybody expected, but his performances have been outstanding. And for someone who's watched Curtis Jones come through our youth academy and our under 18s and then our under 23s, his transition from what was an attacking left winger and number 10 flair to playing in this system, in Klopp's system, in the 8, and do everything, do the simple stuff perfectly, and also have a bit of tenacity and flair to his game that he does have, I think is outstanding. And he's had an excellent first full season in first team football, and I'm delighted to see him starting again this afternoon. Awesome game, I think, 4-1 to Liverpool. Keep your comments coming in. Tony Wankanobi thinks 2-0 to Leicester. He says midfield's a massive issue. I really hope not. Mix is very, very happy about KABAK starting. Liam asks where Craig is. Craig's probably still in bed, but he'll be over on this channel at 12:15 for the live watch along. So join him straight after me. I'll be going till 12:10, and then he'll be on at 15:15 for the live watch along of the game. But for now, you're going to have to cope with me, Liam. I'm not going to read out this name, but he asked when Ben Davies should start. I nearly fell for that one. Ben Davies, it's an interesting one. We signed him from Preston, £2 million. We assumed that perhaps we'd see him alongside KABAK. But the last 2 games, he's not been in the squad. We've heard nothing injury related, so I don't know if he's out injured or what. But at the minute, we're not seeing him in the squad. And today, both Nat Phillips and Reece Williams are in the squad ahead of him. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Ben Davies. Jordan LSC165 says, love your content. Thank you very much. Even Gallagher says, do you think we can win the Champions League? I think this is a really, really interesting question. A lot of people's focus now, it looks like we've missed out on the Premier League, and I would say that we're not in the title race this season anymore. A lot of people's focus will turn to the Champions League. From our last few performances, if we carry on playing like that, there is no chance we'll win the Champions League. And in my opinion, I tip Atletico this season. They've always been very good defensively. They've transitioned to that back 5. They've now got Luis Suarez, who is in top form for them. So, I fancy them, and I think City are probably in the best position to win the Champions League that they've ever been. Now they've sorted out their defence. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think we can go far in the Champions League, but winning it, I think, is going to be hard. Michael Manning thinks 1-1. Issa Judah is happy with the lineup this afternoon. Mark Anthony says, yes, I agree. Let's get stuck in for Jurgen's mom. Yeah, absolutely. That this is another important thing today. There have been a few rumours about it towards the end of January and start of February, but obviously it was confirmed earlier in the week that Jurgen Klopp's mom has unfortunately passed away, which I think puts into perspective a lot of things, because a lot of people jumped on his back and the way he was presented himself in the media recently. People thought it was because of our recent performances and our recent negative results. But of course, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. And obviously, it was released the other day that Jurgen Klopp has lost his mum. So, I think this is a massive, massive game today. We need all the players. We need everything to come forwards and produce a fantastic performance and produce us 3 points. And I think it will probably be emotional for Jurgen Klopp at the end of today's game. I saw something yesterday where I believe Brendan Rodgers has been on the phone to him this week to talk about him and to talk about the situation, obviously, and offer his support, which I think is fantastic from Brendan Rodgers, our former manager, of course, who was replaced by Jurgen Klopp. Issa Judah says maybe swap Thiago for Milner. Yeah, I think Thiago, numerous things. We saw him not in training earlier on in the week, so I don't think he's fully fit. I also think it's because, he's played a lot of games recently after coming back from a long-term injury, and, he could do with a little break, and it falls today. We've got Leipzig on Tuesday, so managing his fitness is key, especially when at the minute we're lacking creative midfielders. So, I think Thiago will probably come on for the last half an hour and then start against Leipzig. That's my opinion. Ali Murali agrees with me. He thinks Thiago needs a rest. Thiago Alcantara, not the official one, unless he sat on the bench typing comments to me. He thinks Nat Phillips should start instead of Henderson, and Henderson in midfield. Well, if it was the real Thiago, I'd say go and tell Jurgen that. But I think as I said before, I don't know if you just joined us, but I think the reason Nat Phillips hasn't been picked is two reasons. I think he wants the leadership alongside Ozan Kabak, who's making his Premier League debut, and we've got difficult opposition this afternoon. Jamie Vardy is one of the best number 9s in the Premier League, so it's going to be difficult for Kabak today. So. And the second reason for me is Nat Phillips' pace. He's not the fastest lad. I do feel sorry for him because every time he's played for Liverpool, he's played really well. But I think Klopp has been clever in the games that he's thrown him into. And I think we saw in the games against the faster centre forwards, the faster number 9s, Reece Williams would often play. But then obviously we saw against United, I think he showed his lack of experience and his lack of quality so far. But that's not his fault. I just don't think he was ready to be thrown in the deep end like he has been this season. Cube says Kabak is rapid. I've heard that he's quite a fast lad, but I haven't seen it. But we'll see it today because Jamie Vardy is a very, very fast guy, and it's going to be interesting to see how Kabak and Henderson deal with it. Issa Judah says we need 3 points today. Absolutely, it is massive. This is massive. We're in that top 4 race. So are Leicester, and today's game is huge. We need that 3 points. So I'm really looking forward to the game. I'm nervous. I hate early kickoffs. Jurgen hates early kickoffs. But I think Leicester have a few injury problems as well as us, and I'm going into the game kind of confident. I shouldn't be confident with our recent performances, but I'm kind of confident today. I'm expecting a big performance from Liverpool today, so don't let me down. Musab Omar thinks it'll be 2-1 for Leicester. John Summers says, do you think Leipzig will be under pressure with Meccano leaving for Bayern? What do you think? No, I think they've probably expected him to leave for some time. They've known he's got that release clause, a small release clause, in the summer. So I think it was probably to be expected, but the announcement hasn't come at the right time for them. Let's just say that it comes to our benefit, but also another thing that benefits us against Leipzig is the fact that they're not playing at home. We're playing in a neutral venue, so that suits us massively as well. Ali Morali says we should sign Harvey Barnes. What's your opinion? Incredibly underrated player. I think he's outstanding, and it'd bring good competition for the front three in terms of rotation. I'd prefer, and I've said this before, Leeds, Rafinha from Leeds. I think he's an outstanding talent, and I'd like us to go for him in the summer. Issa Judah says we will from top 4. Mohamed Abid says Leicester City 1, Liverpool 3. Mohamed Abid also saying Leicester 1, Liverpool 3. The comment here saying I'm really happy Jones is playing. Yeah, me too. As I said before, I think it's outstanding to see him constantly getting on the team sheet. I thought it was a big thing for him to see him start against Manchester City, and he's earned his place today. As I said, for that first 60 minutes against Manchester City, he was the best player in a Liverpool shirt in that game. And, I was disappointed that Klopp brought him off when he did. I know he's young. I know he wanted to change to a 4-2-3-1, but I thought Jones deserved to stay on the pitch. And I think Klopp, after the game, probably regretted his decision. So, I think I expected Curtis Jones to start today. Namrud LFC says Leicester 0, Liverpool 3. Brandon Keish thinks it'll be 3-2 or 2-1 to Liverpool. Mustafa gives his congratulations to Ozan for making his debut. Hopefully he does really well for us today. I'm hoping for a man of the match performance from Ozan Kabak. And, as I said, he's got Jamie Vardy to deal with. It doesn't get much more difficult for your first game in the Premier League than having to deal with a player like Jamie Vardy, especially if Vardy's on the top of his game today. Colin Flaherty says he thinks it'll be 2-1 to Liverpool. People pointing out that Davis seems to be in a cave. Mark Hicks thinks Liverpool should sign Jack Grealish. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of Jack Grealish. I think he's been outstanding in the Premier League this season, and I think he'd be an incredible signing for Liverpool. But he's going to cost an absolute fortune. I think Villa will be demanding upwards of 80 million, probably more like 100 million for Jack Grealish in the summer. So I don't think it's possible. There's going to be a lot of clubs after Jack Grealish as well. Jordan LFC 165 says he thinks it'll be 2-1 LFC as well, like me. Caitlin Bailey says she's not happy with Milner. it's an interesting one, as a comment pointed out earlier, and I've said this in the past. Having James Milner in that midfield when you have Henderson at the back provides that leadership in the midfield, especially when you got a youngster like Curtis Jones in the midfield. I think it's important to have him in. So yeah, I think it's that is why we're seeing Milner today, and obviously Thiago has a fitness issue. There's a super chat here as well from Bargav. Thank you very much, mate. He says, is Milner a misfit in this match? I don't think so. I think Milner's 35 years old. We've seen some poor performances from him in his time at Liverpool, but he's Mr. Consistent. He's often been so good in the Liverpool shirt. As I point to that West Ham game in the first half where he was making the runs in behind, he's the one that was trying to make it happen at 35 years old. His energy, his fitness is outstanding for his age, and he's an incredibly talented player. He won the Premier League with City. He comes to Liverpool, wins the Premier League and the Champions League. He's an incredible player and an incredible motivator and an incredible leader, and he's won a lot in his time, and he'll bring leadership to that midfield today. So I can understand people looking at the team sheet, seeing Milner and thinking, because in the last game he started, it wasn't the strongest performance from Milner, but I'm hoping that today is Milner's day, and we see a good performance from him. Ali Morali says Gini is underrated. Completely agree. I think it's going to be a massive loss for us in the summer. There's one here saying we've got one of the best starting 11s in England, but our squad depth is pathetic. This is a really interesting comment because when everybody is fit, our starting 11, don't think there's many people in. He says England, but I don't think there's many teams in the world that can really compete with our starting 11. But I do agree with the squad options. I think we signed, I think going into the season, our squad depth looked better than ever before. But we've seen with some injuries that we've had, it's really put us to the bare bones in what we've got. And it's interesting because I think we're going to have a bit of a clear out in the summer and get rid of some players that are dead wood. Divock Origi is one who's been tipped to go for a long time. I wonder if he goes in the summer. You look at loads of players we've got out on loan as well, like Harry Wilson, who seems to get loan after loan after loan. Cashing on him and get some money. We know FSG don't really like dipping into their pockets unless they get funds back to them, especially during a pandemic. So cashing in on players like Harry Wilson may be important to us this summer. Nat Phillips, I think we've increased his value as well, and he'll probably go in the summer. So it's going to be a big summer for Liverpool and an important one for us. People saying we need to sign Mbappe. I think we need to focus on getting top four first, otherwise there's no chance of that happening. Rayhan says 2-2 Maddison and Salah to both score a double. Beast Ari says, I think it'll be interesting to see what we do without Thiago. People saying he slows our game down. Get to see if that's actually true. On this, I think it's one of them where I thought this as soon as I saw the team sheet. People after the game, if we play better today, will all of a sudden go, oh, well, maybe Thiago's the problem. Don't focus on that. Remember, he's adjusting to English football, and he's playing in a position where he came into Liverpool expecting to play most likely alongside Fabinho and Henderson. At the minute, he's not playing in that midfield. He's been asked to play in the 6. Sometimes we've seen him on the left of the 3. Sometimes we've seen him on the right. He's had no concrete position for us yet, and I think it's been incredibly difficult for Thiago Alcantara to settle in. I don't think our recent performances are anything to do with Thiago whatsoever. And I don't think that if we all of a sudden see a much better performance from Liverpool today, that it's because Thiago isn't starting. I expect Thiago to come on for the last 20-30 minutes anyway. So I agree it'll be interesting to see if we change our style today or whatever, or if we are quicker in transition and quicker with the ball. But I don't think we can put down our recent performances to Thiago and slowing the game down. Thiago says, what do you think of Curtis Jones? I think he's an outstanding player. I run the Red Men Academy channel. I watch a lot of academy football, especially with Liverpool under 18s and under 23s. And I've been a big fan of Curtis Jones for years. As I said at the start of this video, watching him in left wing role and the number 10 role for the under 23s and do so well last season, break into the first team, play against Everton and score the winner in the FA Cup. And now he's a number 8 who does all the simple stuff perfectly. And, he's just an outstanding player, and his evolution has been incredible incredible. It really, really has. And you know, he's turned into a very, very good young talent. And you know, I'm really excited to see him develop even more, because he's shown now as well. He's got the attitude and he's got the ability to do loads of different things. So, you know, I'm really excited by Curtis Jones. Joel Morris, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. £5, thank you. He says Adrian needs to go in the summer, just not good enough for Liverpool. I believe his contract's up in the summer. And I think James Pearce has said a couple of times that he expects him to go. Yeah, I expect his contract to finish and he'll be off on his way. You know, Kelleher has become our number 2. So, you know, there's no need for Adrian now. Get him off the books. Question here, should we sell Matip in the summer? This is a really interesting one as well, because I think on his day, Joel Matip is a very, very good centre-back, and you know, there's not too many better than him in the Premier League on his day. But there's too many injuries for him, far too many injuries with him, and it's becoming really annoying now. I suppose it's the same sort of thing with Keita, people starting to lose their patience with him, and maybe even Oxlade-Chamberlain as well. So it's a really interesting one. Shaqiri too is another one who always seems to pick up the little niggling injuries. So it's going to be very interesting. But personally, I think, you know, it's going to take us to sign a really, really good centre-back to allow him to go. Josh Water says, if we sold Origi, how much would he go for? No idea, mate. I think that's the reason why he stayed, because we haven't had offers anywhere near the amount that Liverpool want for Divock Origi, and I think that's the only reason why we're seeing him still at the club. If I'm honest, I think he would have been sold if we had a bid anywhere near his valuation. Mohamed Hamza says, why is Ben Davies not on the bench? Your guess is as good as mine, mate. I wonder if Klopp will get asked about it after the game. I don't know if it's an injury problem or what. He wasn't on the bench against Man City either. Very disappointing to see, you know, Nat Phillips and Reece Williams are both on the bench. So, you know, is Ben Davies below them in the pecking order now? Completely unsure. Your guess is as good as mine. Daniel Lambert says, do you think Fabinho will be a permanent centre-back next to Virgil next season? I have no idea. There's lots of people suggesting that we'll make a big signing in the summer. Depends on KABAK. If KABAK ends up being incredible for the rest of the season, you know, Klopp likes what he sees, then we'll activate that 18 million option to buy, and it wouldn't surprise me if we have him as alongside Virgil van Dijk. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. But you know, I'd be satisfied with Fabinho at the back, but we'd probably have to sign a midfielder, because I think recently we have been missing him in that 6 role. Let me just go through the 2 sides again. Obviously, you can see that Liverpool side is right there next to me. We have Alisson in goal, Robertson on the left, KABAK, Henderson as our centre-back partnership, Trent on the right. Then the midfield 3 is Curtis Jones, Gini Wijnaldum and James Milner. And then Mo Salah, Sadio Mane and Bobby Firmino. And for Leicester, it's Schmeichel and Marte, Evans, Soyuncu, Ricardo Pereira, Didi, Tielemans, or Brighton, Maddison, Barnes, Vardy. As I say, I expect a back 3 from Leicester this afternoon. Question here saying, a comment here saying, yes, KABAK is starting. Yeah, great news, you know, to finally have a centre-back starting, you know, after what's been a difficult few weeks, having to watch Liverpool play without a centre-back on the pitch is going to be good. And, you know, we have to, because it's going to be a difficult task today to keep Jamie Vardy quiet. Josh Ward says, come on, KABAK. Namrud LFC is excited to see KABAK. I'll be on here for 10 minutes more, by the way, guys, and then Craig will be with you afterwards at 12:15, ready for the live watch along. Huge game today. Maximize122 says, do you think we should keep Adrian or sell him and get someone else as a third choice? Sell him, in my opinion. Get rid. I don't think he's even selling, because, as I said, I think his contract's up in the summer. Some comments here. Hashim says, Keita is doing some special training to strengthen himself to prevent injuries in the future. I think Matip should do the same so they can constantly play it and show their true potential. Yep, Hashim, I agree with that, but will it work? That is the thing, you know. Keita and Matip both seem to be made out of what's it. So, you know, I think it's a real shame, because I think both of them on their day are outstanding players. And, you know, Keita is one of the transfers that I have been most excited about in my entire life. And you know, he's not lived up to what we thought he would be, and that's no fault of his own. It's his injuries. His body hasn't helped him. Every time I've seen him on the pitch, I think he's done brilliantly. And you know, he's a creative spark from midfield. He drives forwards with the ball. He's a bit like Mbele, I'm a massive fan of as well. Amrud LFC says, when is the right time to bring in Davis? No idea. As I say, I have no idea why he's not in the squad today. I don't know if Klopp's brought him in case we have injury to Nat Phillips or Reece Williams or something. It's a really odd one. I don't know if he's picked up a knock or if he's still getting used to how we play. It's very interesting. Mohammed Abid wants to see Nick Pope in. David says, is Klopp managing the game or Linders? As far as I'm aware, it'll be Jurgen Klopp. Beast Ari says, when Naby got a run of games at the end of last season, he was outstanding, but he's never able to build up form due to his injuries. Absolutely, and I think that's why he's doing this extra training to get rid of that. But fingers crossed it works. But I think, you know, the reason we've started doing this is because, you know, I think everyone is sort of getting frustrated with Naby Keita and his injury situation. We needed him during this period more than ever, and you know, he's unavailable. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see whether Naby Keita comes back and whether it really helps him and whether we can get that run of games we all want to see from Naby Keita, because nobody questions his ability, nobody questions him when he's on the pitch. It's just these injuries that we see time after time after time. Issa Judah says, when is Jota back? I saw earlier in the week Liverpool announced it would be a couple more weeks, but you know, with these sort of injuries, so often you see 2 to 3 weeks. It wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the year Jota's still out for another couple of weeks. But no, I do agree we need Jota back soon, and it's disappointing that he won't be available for the derby or the Leipzig game, but you know, it'll be good to have him for the rest of the season and to, you know, allow rotation for that front three and him to push the front three for better performances, or he may force one of them out. Mohammed Hammam says, who do you think will win this game? I think it'll be 2-1 to Liverpool, Mane and Salah on the score sheet. People talking about the goalkeeper situation, who we should bring in when Adrian departs. TTV Klopp thinks Donnarumma is too good. A couple of comments before were suggesting Donnarumma. Score prediction, I've just said 2-1. Do you think we will change our front three, says Mohammed Abid? It's an interesting one. I think, you know, our front three are all sort of 29 now and in the position where we need to start to think about how we're going to change that, because, you know, they've been outstanding for us over the last few years, but we need to transition, and we need to transition well. And it'd be nice for us to bring in some really exciting young players. A lot of people were hoping for, you know, a Haaland or an Mbappe or a player like that, but you know, they would be incredibly luxury signings, and it would surprise me if FSG really splash the cash for a player like that in what is a global pandemic at the end of the day. So I think that may have changed one or two plans. Rafinha from Leeds looks like he's likely, and I think it would be a good addition, and it will push the front three. So yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens in the summer regarding the front three. Reds for Life YNWA says that Origi should play at centre back for his kind of performance. He's too lazy, and he'd let the man go. You know, he wouldn't be very good at marking at all. Paula Pogba says your hair grew back. Yes, it did, and it needs a trim desperately. But hey, thank Boris for the bloody UK lockdown. Namrud LFC says Nick Pope is a good shot stopper. Maximise 122 asks how long until Van Dijk is back. We have no idea, mate. On an injury like that, you cannot put a timescale on it. I'll be here for about 9 more minutes, and then obviously it'll be Craig for the live watch along. So make sure you join him afterwards as well. I've just seen there's been a tweet here to say that Ben Davies has picked up a knock, according to Jurgen Klopp. So I'm gutted for the lad. You know, he's coming from Preston, big opportunity for him, and he picks up a knock straight away. But, you know, it also fills me with confidence that it is an injury and not just Klopp keeping him out of the squad, you know, and thinking that Nat Phillips and Reece Williams are ahead of him. And hopefully it is just a knock and we don't see him out for too much longer. It must be a big kick in the teeth, you know, when we do put our hands in the pocket and sign in our pockets and sign a couple of centre-backs on deadline day. And then Ben Davies picks up a knock a few days afterwards. So it's an interesting one. Kate 2.0 says, morning, Jack. Good morning. We need Kane in our squad, says Mohammed Abid. Interesting one there. Let's have a look at the comments. Do you think Milner will push deeper to right back and Trent to midfield? I think it happens naturally when Liverpool play. You know, Trent pushes high up the flank and the midfielder on that right-hand side drops in to cover him. So that's how I think we'll do. David1645 says another centre-back injured, exactly what I was expecting. Yeah, difficult, but the fact Klopp says knock fills me with hope that he shouldn't be out for too long, but we've seen this all too many times before where a player picks up a knock and then he's out for longer than we expect. Thiago is the prime example for that. Nat Phillips is a monster at the back. He is, but as I said, that pace thing is a big question. And also, I think Henderson has been put in ahead of him to partner Ozan Kabak purely for leadership as well. Sakina Hussein says, come on the Reds. I think that is exactly how we are all feeling today. Sakina, because you know it's a massive game for our race for the top four. A lot of people aren't favouring us at the minute because of our recent performances, but we saw against Tottenham and West Ham we still have it in us, and we need to produce a big performance today. We've had a couple more injury scares, a few people, I say a few, that's a massive understatement. We've got many players absent for today's game, but Leicester have 1 or 2 injuries too. They're not their strongest side. They've put out their strongest 11, so this is a huge game for us at the King Power. We need a massive performance and we need 3 points. Let's have a look at the comments again. TTV Al says 2-1 Leicester. John Lennon says, is Craig not hosting? No, he'll be on for the watch along at 12:15 it starts. Comment here saying, come on boys. Josh Crouch clearly not happy with Henderson at centre back. As I say, I reckon it's because of the leadership. Caden Dobbs asked for my opinion on the team playing today. It's an interesting one. The midfield on paper doesn't look too good, but Milner is in there to help a young and inexperienced Curtis Jones, I reckon, and bring leadership to that midfield. Henderson is at the back to guide Ozan Kabak through the game. His first Premier League appearance alongside Jamie Vardy, one of the best number 9s in England. So it's going to be incredibly, you know, it's going to be a tough game, but you know the side is decent from what we had to choose from. Maximise asking if Sancho comes to us. I think we can do better, is my honest opinion, but you know I think it wouldn't be a bad sign. Jonathan Joe says 1-1 draw. He wants United. Oh, he's a United fan, so he wants us to draw so United can pull away. Podge says, "Come on the pool." Ali asking if I play FPL. Yes, I do. Malik says Kabak hat trick. It'd be nice to see Kabak, you know, popping up from a corner and scoring his debut like we saw from Virgil van Dijk against Everton. It would be a good story. That Namrud LFC says, "Come on the Reds." We're starting to see a bit of energy now. Kickoff is fast approaching, and people I think are getting excited and nervous ahead of this game. You know, it's a massive game today. Getting 3 points today and going into that Leipzig game in midweek in the Champions League would be absolutely pivotal. So, you know, I think it's a massive game today and we need a massive performance. Marl Places, how is your day? Thank you very much for asking, mate. It's all right. I've not long been up, but you know, it's one of them. My day will be made by a Liverpool result. If we lose, I'll be in a poor mood for the rest of the day. If we win, I'll be on cloud 9. Mark Hicks thinks 2-0 Liverpool. Issa Judah says you'll never walk alone. David1645 says, is Kabak good in the air? Yep, as far as I'm aware, Kabak is very good in the air. I've not watched too much of him, but from what I have seen, he is good in the air and he's aggressive. He's an aggressive player as well. So that battle with Jamie Vardy, I think is going to be incredibly interesting. You know, an aggressive and, you know, Ozan Kabak against Jamie Vardy, I think will be very interesting. What's your prediction? I think that's meant to say Jack. 2-1, as I said before, I think it'll be 2-1. I think Leicester will score first, but I think we'll win through goals from Mane and Salah. I hope Mane will be a lot better than in recent weeks today. Let's have a look here. John says Kabak is good. Alfie Newton says come on the Reds. Coaster Friend says come on the pool. Ali Morali says, good show, thank you very much. Alfie Newton says, come on Liverpool. TTV Klopp thinks it'll be 6-2 to Liverpool today. I hope so, I really do. That would be great to go into that Leipzig game on the back of absolutely spanking Leicester. Ryan O'Neill says, come on you Reds. We've got another super chat here from Bargav, thank you very much. He says, what's your take on Klopp out? I think it's absolutely ludicrous, mate. I think it's ridiculous, and people who want Klopp out should go and support another team. As simple as that. Everyone who wants Klopp to leave this club off the back of a couple of poor results when we've got so many players out injured can just quite simply fuck off. How long's Fab out for? It's a little muscle injury. I'm hoping that he'll be back for the Leipzig game. It's just the fact that he couldn't make today. 4-1 to Leicester, says Mr. EC Football. I can see the logo, unfortunately. So he's a Chelsea fan. Just carry on waving your plastic flags and focus on your team. Marplay says 3-1 to the Reds. Thiago thinks Curtis Jones brace. Ali Morali wants us to sign Souček. Interesting. He's been doing very, very well at West Ham, but I think it's because he fits that team and how David Moyes wants them to play. So yeah, I think that is quite simply why. Call me Galadriel says, hey, from Turkey, Ozan Kabak is the best defender in the world. Well, there you go. Confirmed from this guy all the way from Turkey. Really, really excited to see Kabak make his debut for Liverpool this afternoon. Suxi says 3-1 to Liverpool. Podge thinks Klopp out and not for Liverpool fans. Liverpool #1 fan says, come on the Reds. And that is how I will end today's show. Remember, folks, this is in association with Ball Sports. If you want to bet ahead of the game, there is obviously their link in the description. Craig will be live with a watch along at 12:15. Huge game. 3 points, please, Liverpool. Put a smile on our faces. Let's go into that Leipzig game on the back of 3 points. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and we shall see you soon. Ta-ra.